Am I the asshole for cooking food while my roommate's girlfriend was here and offering her some? I, 21 male, am from the South. I grew up in New Orleans and Texas. My mom runs a catering business and the majority of clients were either at home in Louisiana or in Texas. I add this to say that I grew up cooking and helping my mom cook for the business. I was frying chicken and catfish when I could reach the stove and making gumbo and buttermilk biscuits at a very young. I'm currently in culinary school right now. And #X200B. And #X200B. I've lived in a rented house on the East Coast with my roommate, 22 male, for a year and a half. He's not a friend or anything. We just linked up because we both needed roommates in the area. He's good to live with and we watch shows and movies together. We hang out and go out for drinks sometimes. I always make friends easy because of being from the South and doing customer service related things since I was a kid. I know how to talk and charm and listen to folk despite being naturally more in the introverted spectrum. My roommate has been seeing his girlfriend, 20 male, for like 6 months. I've met her before and seen her in passing. Roommate and his girlfriend had a 2-week break from school things. She still lives at her parents' so she decided to stay here the whole 2 weeks. I was just doing things as I would normally do. It got weird at first when I was about to go mow the lawn and the roommate stopped me and said he wanted to mow. I usually always mow. A couple of days later I was outside washing my car. I asked both of them if they wanted me to do theirs. She looked like she was going to agree but he looked at her angrily so they declined. And #X200B. And #X200B. I cook pretty frequently at home as well and usually let my roommate have some. So any time I'd make some I would say that they could have some and this would get him pissed. Weeks prior when she was here and we were all talking, she mentioned this specific kind of cheesecake that she really likes. So I made and sent out a group text that everyone could have it. My roommate got upset. I don't see anything as overstepping a boundary as this is how I treat him and all guests. The other day he told me how annoying it was to hear his girlfriend talk about how good your roommate can fresh baked bread is. I'm not trying to make him look bad or anything. This is simply how I was raised. If I bake 2 loaves of bread I'm gonna leave it out for the house to eat. And #X200B. Edit the cheesecake is just common courtesy type thing to me. When his parents come over I make pound cake because they like it. If a guest is coming make what they like. Nothing odd about picking up their favorite chips or making some tea when guests arrive. Just how I was raised. And #X200B. Edit wow this has blown up. Just want to say we generally have a good roommate relationship. We're not best friends but it's friendly enough. The only change has been when his girlfriend is here. So lol no I am not looking for new roommates, to be adopted, or to move but thanks. Here is some more things that upset him. And #X200B. I went to the grocery store and asked if anyone needed anything. And #X200B. I was frying chicken and offered the first, best pieces out the oil to them. And #X200B. I changed the oil to my own car. And #X200B. I used a smoker in the backyard to make brisket. And #X200B. I grill and smoke in the backyard and needed a piece of wood cut into a certain way to hold something up. I cut and nailed some wood together in the garage. And #X200B. Feels like I can't even exist while she is here. Lol, not the asshole. If another guy mowing the lawn and cooking is enough to make him insecure, he's probably not doing anything useful himself. Not the asshole from South Louisiana here. You didn't do anything wrong. You were being polite. Your roommate is incredibly insecure. Not the asshole, your roommate's insecurity is not your problem. I'm also from the South, and cooking and sharing food with others brings me a lot of joy. It was something you did out of kindness, not out of a willingness to cause harm. He's being ridiculous. Not the asshole. If your roommate is feeling inadequate, that's a him problem. His girlfriend being impressed by your cooking and generosity as something out of the ordinary for her is probably a good thing for her to raise her standards a bit. Not the asshole. I'm from Texas and what you describe is the way things are. You're not overstepping. You're being Southern polite. He just doesn't like that you make him look bad. That's his issue, not yours. Am I the asshole? My ex is threatening homeless if I don't let him live with me. A couple of years back me, 20, and my ex, 21, broke up pretty amicably and continued our friendship from there. My ex, let's call him Hal, has been a close friend since I was 16 and we've always been on and off, still remaining close buddies and solid support systems for each other. Over the last year, however, our lives have gone separate ways, with me focusing on university and him being busy with work. So we met up recently for his birthday for a catch-up. The night was great and I got to meet his new girlfriend, who is a lovely person. I also got to tell him I had started seeing someone new and things were going great. Seemed like things were aligning in both of our lives. After the evening we all parted ways and agreed to stay in touch. Quick sidebar: when me and Hal dated, it wasn't a good relationship. I often felt lonely and taken for granted, never being able to refuse his every emotional and personal demands for fear of coming off like I didn't care about him. I was my first love and best friend, and he never showed me any kind of affection, which still gives me issues now with trusting people and personal insecurities. Present-day Hal has deeply apologized for everything he did to me all those years ago, saying it's the worst thing he's ever done, and thinking about hurting me causes him a lot of guilt. I really took to heart what he said, as he is still a very important person in my life. Within the same breath he said my kindness set the standard for his future relationships. Anyway, a month and a half after meeting up for his birthday, I get a distressed call from Hal. He tells me he has to leave his flat as his ex-partner, not the cute one, has decided on their behalf that they both move out. Hal knows I have a spare room in my apartment and wants to live there for only a few months. I immediately bullshit a response saying that I'll have to think about it. A month goes by and it's present day. Hal is now leaving his flat and tells me that if I don't let him and his new girlfriend stay in my spare room, he'll essentially be homeless. I of course can't let that happen, so I say him and his girlfriend can stay for a week and pay the landlord. He agreed, but now he's pushing it, saying he needs to stay with me for 3 months. Which I'm very uncomfortable about. I feel like I'm being a dick for refusing to let him stay, but there's no way I want to come home to my house safe space to be greeted by my ex and his GF. I lied and gave him some more bullshit about why he couldn't stay, and he was shocked. I told him it would be weird anyway, with me, my boyfriend, Hal and his new girlfriend all sleeping under the same roof, no thanks. My best friend and flatmate is also very pissed about the situation. We both think I'm being taken advantage of again. Edit. I should also mention that my roommate is also my best friend and she's Hal's friend too. We're both uncomfortable with the situation but don't want to be bad friends. I love my friend Hal, but no way is he living with me. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Him becoming homeless is not your problem. Plus he is your ex who has another girlfriend. No way. Not the asshole. There are many options they have, but they are choosing to try to take advantage of your situation. Once you let them in, they're probably not leaving until you get them evicted. Stay strong. Not the asshole. Don't do this. His request for 1 week quickly turned into 3 weeks, and the next thing you know it'll be 3 years and you won't be able to kick them out. Right now they don't have any rights, but once you let them move in, they'll have squatters' rights, at least here in California. What is the 30-day squatters' right in California? A squatter is one who resides on a property to which he or she has no title, right, or lease. Without a lease, they gain a legal right to stay on your property as a tenant if they merely occupy it continuously for 30 days. Don't do this. Not the asshole. From the sound of it, homelessness might improve his character. Not the asshole, but how can Hal's ex-girlfriend decide that he and his current girlfriend have to move out? That doesn't make sense to me. It sounds like Hal was counting on you to say yes and didn't even try to find an alternative. My advice? Do not let them live with you. A few months will turn into a year. I also get the impression that Hal expects not to pay any rent or anything. Am I the asshole for choosing to go to a concert instead of going to my sister's wedding? Throwaway account. I, 21 female, have 2 half-sisters, Rachel, 30 female, and Regina, 28 female. Rachel and I have the same mom while Regina and I have the same dad. I grew up with Rachel, so for many years I was closer to her as opposed to the sister I wasn't even aware of until I was 5. Didn't meet until I was 7 and only saw during the occasional spring break, summer when our paternal grandmother would have us. It wasn't until I was in high school that I grew closer to Regina. She helped me through something she also experienced while Rachel thought it wasn't a big deal and eventually told me to get over it. Rachel and I patched things up, but our relationship was never the same. Especially since she never gave me the apology I feel like I was owed for trying to invalidate my feelings. I started hanging around Regina more, and due to this she and Rachel would occasionally cross paths. Regina used to date Jackson, 28 male, and he cheated on her with Rachel. There was a huge blowout and thankfully Regina believed me and over time we were back on good terms. I just couldn't believe that Rachel would be this type of person and I called her out about it several times. I accused her of not having the best morals, which prompted her to reveal that if it weren't for people like her and Jackson I wouldn't exist. I was confused about what she meant, and that's when our mom admitted that my dad was still technically with Regina's mom when she started a relationship with him. I was floored, but I did shut up. A few weeks later invitations for Jackson and Rachel's wedding were sent out and I didn't get one. I can admit that while a part of me was hurt at not getting an invite, another part of me wasn't sure I'd attend. Opted to just not say any, ignored any in-person conversations about Rachel's wedding around me, and unfriended Rachel when the timeline became flooded with wedding-related stuff. A few months ago tickets went on sale for a very popular artist and asked me if I was interested. We got some amazing seats and are planning to drive out together over the weekend for the concert. This is the same weekend as Rachel's wedding, and after Regina made a post about it, Rachel immediately called me up and berated me for choosing to go to a concert instead of her wedding. I reminded her that I never got invited, so Rachel made a big show about giving me one, and now members of the family are telling me that I have to attend my only sister's wedding. However, the way I see it is that Rachel either didn't want me there until she knew I was going to do something with Regina, or was waiting for me to beg and cry for an invitation. Either way, Rachel spent the better part of a year planning a wedding and is only now inviting me a few weeks prior, so am I the asshole? ETA. Since someone either commented or messaged me about this. 1. Yes, several relatives knew that I wasn't invited and a few of them did go to Rachel about this, and from what I heard the reason why she didn't initially invite me was because I was so open about my dislike for the groom. Which is one of the reasons why I think she was waiting for me to come to her begging. 2. Regina blocked Rachel on everything 2 years ago, so I don't know how she found out as quickly as she did. Rachel called me within a couple hours. I did not expect to be voting this way when I read the title, but not the asshole. It's not fair of your sister to exclude you and then get upset when you don't react and make other plans. With what you've said, it sounds like she's trying to create drama with the family and get people on her side, which isn't fair of her. Don't play into it. Keep doing what you're doing and live your life. You're not obligated to show up her wedding, or her pity party. Not the asshole. Have a blast at the concert and enjoy it to the fullest. An invite is not a summons, and she waited till you had other plans to invite you. If Regina hadn't posted, you wouldn't have gotten one. Not the asshole, you weren't invited until Rachel discovered you had plans with Regina. Too little, too late. Not the asshole. Wow. That's a lot. Rachel is the asshole here. For sleeping with the now fiancé. For throwing your mom's business in your face, but also hiding behind it. For not inviting you until she needed to save face. Go and enjoy the concert with your other sister. I hope both have an amazing time. Not the asshole. The invite came at the last second and you already have plans. Don't entertain foolishness. Am I the asshole for how I suggested my niece deal with homophobia? I'm 35 and I've been out as queer for the last 15 years. My sister's Jess's daughter Renee just came out as a lesbian. She's 16, and while her family and friends are accepting, she's had some issues with other people. Jess asked me if I could give her advice on it, and I gave her this advice. Sometimes people will try to debate you on your sexuality. I'd never engage. Even if you win, debating your personhood will eat you up inside. Instead, know this about bigots. Their hate isn't about you. When someone shames another person, they are often coming from a place of deep internal shame, self-restriction, isolation, etc. They see self-denial as a virtue, to justify their own self-imposed restriction, and resent the person who's in true accord with themselves. They're deeply lonely, in a fearful place, having been indoctrinated to fear their fellow man. They're part of churches or organizations that maintain power and control through fear of the other, and you are unfortunately being othered as a propaganda tool. If someone tries to argue with you about your sexuality, ask them to reflect on themselves instead. Don't let them debate. You just keep reminding them that they only have to answer to themselves and to God. I gave her all that advice and she listened, and felt better hearing that the shit people are saying about her is 100% not about her. But stuff got kinda rough when she went back to church next. Apparently one of her dad's friends was giving her the whole, love the sinner hate the sin Shit, and she went off on him, asking him in front of everyone why he was getting so red in the face. Saying that she didn't want to debate her own sexuality. But she was concerned about him, that he was so clearly sad and afraid and ashamed that he was putting that pain out into the world. And she hoped he'd go home that day and reflect on whether he wanted to go through life letting fear and shame control and isolate him. It apparently made things really awkward, and made the guy madder. He got at her saying she didn't know him, and she was like, "I don't have to know you to see that. I'll pray for you." Which damn Gen Z is gutsy, and honestly I was proud of her. But my sister was upset. She asked me if I'd told her daughter to call this guy sad and angry, and I said yeah, though just generally not about that specific guy. My sister told me she thought I was setting her daughter up for trouble, that the stuff I suggested she say was gonna make a lot of people angry. I said those people were already angry. She said that advice wasn't age appropriate at all, and that I should have said more of the love yourself, self-confidence stuff. She wanted her daughter to be safe and worried about her saying that kind of thing. Am I the asshole for the advice I gave? It was honestly the best advice I had, but I can see where my sister is coming from, saying it's not the best advice for a teenager. Edited to add line breaks. Not the asshole. What she told that idiot definitely struck some truth within. You did fine. Your sister isn't as open-minded as she wants you to think. She worries about what her church family will think of her. She needs to be more concerned with standing up for her daughter and standing by her. What kind of grown man debates with a child about their own romantic orientation and yells, "You don't know me," when it doesn't work? I don't think your niece was in the wrong for defending herself in a church full of people who won't respect her, so not the asshole. She needs support in a time like this, which is something you definitely gave her. OFC people will get mad at her for defending herself, but it's way better to stand up for yourself than to keep quiet. Because if you defend yourself, that shows they have no power over you. If you don't, they'll keep pushing you and think it's okay to. Not the asshole. Your niece is gonna have to navigate her world, and the advice you gave is great. Maybe a follow-up conversation would be helpful. Mostly it sounds like your sister is more upset about upsetting her social environment than she is about caring for her daughter. It's a tough dynamic for them to navigate, but it's where they are. In Ta, you gave her the tools to face the world head-on. Many people live with the assumption it's them that's the issue, and it eats away at them. GJ. Not the asshole, but I do think I understand the mom's concerns. I think she's just afraid her daughter will, rightfully, call out people the way Op taught, and that will cause someone, most likely a man in her mind, to physically react and take it out on her daughter. Which is a very real possibility and genuine fear to have. But the solution isn't to stop the niece from her actions. The solution is to make sure she's prepared to physically defend from others' actions, if the worst were to happen. The fact is, the way she's calling them is not wrong, but it is a harsh reality, and people can't handle being told harsh truths.